Girl wakes up and realizes that she has traveled back 20 years in time. The scenes before her leave her astonished. It turns out that 20 years ago, she was the school beauty admired by all the boys. Seeing her beautiful self in the mirror, she decides to make good use of this opportunity to reshape her life, because 20 years ago, she was the school beauty, but 20 years later, she has become a middle-aged woman. Her name is Rose, and she is a housewife. Every day, she wakes up promptly at 6 o'clock. Just as she was about to have breakfast, the child wakes up. She has to put down her utensils and pick up the child, comforting and feeding him with one hand, while trying to eat with big bites with the other. And when she needs to use the restroom, the child starts crying again. She can only comfort the child while taking care of her own needs. Even her husband looks at her with disdain. Today is Rose and her husband's wedding anniversary, but he is completely absorbed in his work, and has already forgotten. When Rose sees the gift next to the dressing table, all her grievances towards her husband instantly disappear. She thought it was a surprise, but her husband snatches it away, loudly blaming her for touching things without permission. It turns out today is also the leader's wedding anniversary, and the gift was meant for the leader. Rose laughs at herself sarcastically. She looks at the man before her, feeling a mix of anger and resentment. Just as Rose takes the child out for a walk to clear her mind, she becomes envious of the beautiful girls on the street, because Rose hasn't worn a pretty dress in 14 years. Seeing the strange looks from passers-by, Rose lowers her head and assesses herself. The greasy stains on her white t-shirt, the worn-out mismatched sandals. To avoid embarrassment, she can only use her backpack to cover the stains. Just when Rose feels disappointed, an elderly person pushing a garbage cart calls her auntie. That's when Rose wakes up. In the evening, the child suddenly falls ill. Rose holds him, feeling anxious, and tries to call her husband, but her husband is busy drinking with clients. Rose looks at her aged self in the mirror, and recalls her pitiful life. At that moment, her best friend sends a photo of her husband with another girl, and coincidentally, her husband's message says he won't be coming home tonight. Rose remembers her husband's previous credit card statements, full of hotel and motel expenses. All these thoughts and suspicions finally release the resentment Rose has suppressed. Helpless, her husband reluctantly agrees, and so they end their 15-year marriage. In the moment they both throw away their rings, they suddenly feel a strong shaking, thinking it's an earthquake, but the people around them seem oblivious to it. This strange phenomenon puzzles them. However, the next morning, the scene before them surprises them once again.